This is my comms debate speech for comms 235. Today I will be making a counter argument to Audrey Jordan's topic of teenage abortion and parental involvement. Please keep in mind throughout the duration of this video that these beliefs are not what I specifically subscribe to. However, these are common arguments that could be made. So, according to a Forbes article titled "What Rights Do Teens Have When It Comes to Their Healthcare?", the federal government has no specific guidelines when it comes to teenagers' rights when it comes to their healthcare and their medical care, excuse me. And each state medical board has different regulations. And I wanted to bring up the 10th Amendment. So the 10th Amendment states that the powers not delegated to the United States by the Constitution, nor prohibited by it to the states, are reserved to the states respectively or to the people. And to paraphrase what this means, primarily this is stating that whatever laws aren't specifically outlined in the Constitution for the United States, the states are able to make laws about that given what they believe is best for their constituents. And because medical abortions or medical procedures in general are not specifically outlined in the Constitution, I believe that the 37 states that require parental involvement when it comes to teenagers' abortion should not be required to change because these laws have been made with the belief that they best represent their constituents. And I wanted to reflect on some arguments made in the last video. An article titled "Laws Restricting Teenagers' Access to Abortions." It discusses the result of a survey that states that 22% of teens who do not tell their parents about getting an abortion do so because they fear that they will be kicked out. It also goes on to state that more than 8% feared that they would be physically abused because of past abuse experience. And while these figures are cause for concern, I would like to suggest that perhaps maybe these figures overlap each other, and if there was prior abuse, then CPS should be called on the parents, especially when it comes to teenagers' fear that there will be further abuse if they do tell their parents that they are getting an abortion or plan to. And I believe that even if the figures don't overlap, the judges are able to waive these instances because while I do understand that it may be stressful, 30% that may not be able to tell their parents are able to go to the judge, and that might be the best solution for this. And the article also states that going to court and revealing details of private lives to strangers is cause for extraordinary fear, anxiety, and shame, and that many teens are afraid to go to court because they fear that they'll see someone that they know. I would like to bring up two arguments for this. One, that pregnancies are real concern or real consequences to teenagers' sex life, and they need to be able to swallow their anxiety, so to speak, and go to the judge if they do rationally fear that they cannot get consent to get an abortion from their parents. I also could not find any sources or laws requiring that anyone in a courthouse has to disclose information to a third party if they were witnessed by a third party. Because of this, while it is an awkward situation, I believe that a teenager should be able to get out of it by lying as to why they were there or making up an excuse as to why they were there. I would also like to bring up some possible solutions to this issue. Further in the article titled "Laws Restricting Teenagers' Access to Abortion," it states that all but 5 states allowed a minor to place their child for adoption without parental involvement. And I believe this is a good solution because being pregnant is not a life sentence, especially for teenagers. And I also believe that being up for adoption could give the child a better life, especially if the mother is homeless, low income, or live in an abusive household. And according to an article titled Study Finds Comprehensive Sex Education Reduces Teen Pregnancies, researchers from the University of Washington found that adolescents who receive comprehensive sex ed are significantly less likely to become pregnant than those who receive only abstinence sex ed or no sex ed at all. It also found that 1 in 4 teens receive only abstinence only sex ed, and on top of that, 9% of teens receive no sex ed at all. And I believe that in relation to another article I found on ACLU.org, approximately 82% of teens' pregnancies are unintended. I believe that educating teenagers, especially in the rural and poor areas where the 9% figure is found most prominent, will help reduce teenagers' pregnancies and subsequently teenagers' abortions and the complications that come with it, especially the parental consent. And I believe that this would best solve the issue because it gives responsibility to the parents and schools to give adequate sex education to lower the rates of teen pregnancy and teenage abortion and the fears that they can't receive parental consent. Thank you.